Hey, this is Ihab. In this video, I'm going to cover the basics and fundamentals and shortcuts of After Effects on a beginning level. The first area I want to talk about is this, where we import our content and we also need to keep them organized. But before I go through that, there's one thing that I want to show here. If you go to Edit, Preferences, and then you go into import. Oh, well, you can click on any of these buttons. You can change later on. So here's import. So by default it is on 30, and I changed it to 24. The problem with this is that if you have an image sequence and you want to play it on 30 frames or 24 frames per second, the number here is going to be the default. So if you wish to work with that sequence on 30 frames per second, you would just go in and import the footage, and then later on you will figure that the frame rate was off. So if you're working on an image sequence that you wish to be at a specific frame rate by default, to be imported by default, this is the area where you want to get started and make sure that every project you start, it's going to be defaulted at 24 frames per second. You can change that later, but in some cases it could make some errors and like bad output if you delay the change of frame rate for later. You can always change the frame rate in the beginning of making a composition. So it's ideal to get that out of the way and make sure you have the right frame rate. So in this area here, you can import content into it by going into File and then Import and then File. You can also double click here. So let's say I have all of these videos. So staying organized, is really important. Let me just show you here. You can see more information as you kind of open this area here. You can sort of like change things around a little bit, and you can see here, since these are videos, they already come with a specific frame rate. So After Effects does not change them by default, which is good because you don't want After Effects to ruin your video. So what I mentioned before about frame rate applies to the things that do not have specific frame rate, such as image sequence. So just to kind of make sure that you know the difference between why we changed that, and also is that going to affect your videos, right? So this is something you always want to look for if you are in need to have a specific frame rate. Okay. So let's say I have all of these videos, and of course I want to stay organized, so I'll select all of them and then push them all into this folder icon, and then I can call these videos. And this is how this area works. You can always also search for materials. You can also go and rename some materials. Let's say you imported it and it had a really bad name and you're working with a team. So you can just literally just go and change the name. Weird phone. So to change the name, you can just right mouse button, click rename, or if you want, you can just select on it and hit enter. And you can see also more information about the videos, such as the resolution, compression, and you can see that it does have an audio. This one does not have audio, and this one does not have audio. In some cases they could have audio, so this does not really confirm the fact that we don't see like the wave. It's not a confirmation that we do not have audio. Just keep that in mind, that sometimes it's not the case. Okay, so next step is, how do I get my materials into composed into new projects?